It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. This is Volodymyr Zelensky in the frontline city of Kupyiansk in eastern Ukraine after Vladimir Putin claimed that Russian forces had captured it. I cannot think of a bigger FU in the history of modern warfare. President Zelensky is the embodiment of wartime leadership. You can hear an outgoing artillery round in the background right here. This selfie was taken barely a kilometer from Russian positions, but it proved that Putin's claims to have taken the city were lies. Zelensky made him look small and weak, but he also delivered a powerful message to those frontline Ukrainian troops who are risking everything to defend their country. I asked a couple of my friends serving in the Ukrainian military right now about how this made them feel. Like he's right there with us, one of them said. Another told me, it's been difficult, constant Russian attacks, and the cold is starting to bite, but at least we have a president who knows what it means to risk something for what you believe in. I think that might have been a subtle dig at our president. I am convinced that one of the reasons Donald Trump despises Zelensky so much is that Zelensky reminds the world what real leadership, what real bravery looks like. And it's why Donald Trump constantly sides with Vladimir Putin. They have so much more in common. My guest today has a lot to say about that. Lesia Orobets is a former member of the Ukrainian parliament and a leading voice internationally for exposing the Kremlin's tactics. Lesia dialed into this interview from Kyiv, where the power had just gone out moments earlier. Rolling blackouts affect much of the country after repeated Russian strikes on the power grid. So apologies for the video quality here, but it did not affect the quality of this incredible conversation. Here is me and Lesia Orobets. Lesia, welcome to the show. Can you tell us where you are right now? I understand the power's been cut. You had to relocate. I can get a sense of that from the background, but are you safe?
Hi, hello, Ken. Thank you so much for inviting. Actually, welcome to my home, because I was planning to have this interview in my office, but things went south and no electricity, no internet, so I had to run quickly. And right now, the only source of light is actually not something that works, but that's just on the charger. And we work from a mobile connection, internet, which is pretty good in Kyiv. So that's all the situations here. So if you walk outside, you would hear the noise of electric generators that would, you can pour some gasoline in and get some electricity out. And that's how all businesses right now survive in Kyiv and other places.
Is Kyiv under attack right now, or is this a power cut due to the previous attacks on power stations?
Well, let me double check. We are a modern nation. We have applications for everything. So, for example, this application shows if there's an air siren right now. No, it's not. But we were heavily bombed through the last month and a half, and we lost more than half of our electricity generations. Heavy strikes on the left bank, which is the eastern part of Ukraine, and which means that we have to ration our electricity. So most of us have only half day with electricity, and that would be like switch on, switch off every 4 to 6 hours back and forth. So this is the reality.
There's really no other way to describe this kind of warfare other than a terror campaign. Vladimir Putin is targeting. I was in Odessa recently, and the main target was the power station. I was in Kherson. The target there is old ladies coming home from shopping.
Yeah.
The goal of Putin's military is to demoralize the Ukrainian people, to freeze them to death this winter, and in places where people still live close to the front, like in Kherson, to depopulate those areas by murdering civilians. Am I exaggerating any of that?
No, just a couple of details. They specifically target our electricity grid to make sure we are on our knees, not only humanitarian-wise, because there's no light in hospitals, no light in schools and other places. So we have either to buy big batteries or generators, which put costs on everything we do or everything we produce, but also they are targeting our nuclear power states, trying to get them out of order and increasing the security risks for the same. And as you mentioned, in places like Kherson, they would use drone hunting on old ladies who were just trying to get some water or pension money.
Those attacks on the nuclear power stations bring with them a whole new level of risk. You posted this recently on Twitter. You said that Russia can make this war nuclear without using nuclear weapons.
Sure.
I knew what you meant because I've been to Chernobyl. I saw the hole in the sarcophagus that the Russians tried to destroy. Can you explain, though, what you mean by Russia's ability to make this war a nuclear catastrophe for the entire world?
I'm a Chernobyl survivor. So I was 4 when Chernobyl blasted 50 miles from my home. And I do remember what a big catastrophe looks like and what are the aftermaths. Since then, we've made huge improvements in terms of how we organize and construct our nuclear plants. So that would be an exaggeration saying that you will have a new Chernobyl. No, you won't. But Russians are specifically targeting our ability for the stations to send electricity to the grid. So the teams on the ground would literally have seconds to switch off the big atomic nuclear plant manually. And if they fail to do, then there will be a radioactive incident. When Russians were trying to target our nuclear waste locations, that was also specifically done to make sure that that radiation becomes a factor of the so-called negotiations. And you've mentioned the sarcophagus. This is the construction which was built over Chernobyl to keep radiation from exterminating. So yes, that can become a factor.
Last minute shopping during the holidays is the worst. You're running out of ideas, the stores are packed, and forget about finding parking. Aura Frames is the best last minute solution, a gift that actually feels thoughtful and personal. I'm one of those people who struggles with ideas for what to get my wife and family. I want something meaningful, something that doesn't feel rushed, and honestly, that pressure usually makes me procrastinate. Aura Frames, in my opinion, is the single best gift for that. Here's why. Aura Frames lets you share photos or videos from any device, and they instantly appear on the frame, wherever it is in the world, at your home, your office, or someone's home across the country or across the world. The frames are gorgeous. They display photos in true color, and they automatically adjust to the light in the room. When you turn out the lights at night, the frame turns off too, saving energy and letting you sleep. And the setup, about 2 minutes. Download the Aura app, connect to Wi-Fi, and you're done. Preload your photos before it ships. Add a message before your gift arrives. Keep adding new photos and videos anytime from anywhere. Every frame comes in a premium gift box with no price tag, truly ready to wrap and give. You can't wrap togetherness, but you can frame it. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code KEN at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code KEN. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Hey everyone, it's Ken. Quick break for a shameless pitch for my Substack and Patreon pages. To all of you who have subscribed, thank you. Your support is what makes this show possible. Anytime you see in-person reporting, whether it's trips to Ukraine to show you what is really happening on the ground, or my recent conversations with Congressman Jason Crow and Senator Tammy Duckworth, where we got on-the-record commitments to back hearings into ICE's abuses of power,
people need to know that we're taking names.
all of this only happens with your support. Every dollar that comes in through Substack and Patreon goes back into this show. And with the holidays coming up, you can give gift subscriptions as well. The links are below. Thanks for everything. Your support means the world to me. Back to the show. I want to ask you about that nuclear blackmail, which is an excuse that America and Europe continually falls back on when justifying its its failure or its refusal to support Ukraine the way Ukraine deserves to be supported. The most recent example of that, I mean, this is a perennial tactic of Putin to say, if you cross this line, we risk all-out nuclear war. The latest has been his threats around the release of impounded Russian funds in Europe, the $200 billion that we are sitting on that could be used to help Ukraine defend itself. Can you talk about that issue right now? You've been very vocal about encouraging Europe to let Ukraine use Russian money to defend itself, which seems like a pretty good bargain. What's the holdup?
When the permanent member of the UN and goes nuts and starts blackmailing other countries with nuclear, we can only wonder what next they would ask from us. And this blackmail has to stop somewhere, otherwise we will pay too high price for when we actually would no longer be able to convince Ukraine to give up another piece of the territory, another millions of population. I mean, in all this construct of those negotiations, it's too much pressure on Ukraine to give up on something that shouldn't be given up, even for the sake of world security, not just Ukrainian security, and too little pressure on Russia, which already uses the blackmail as the instrument. So, getting back to Russian funds, we are in the deadline as on the 18th of December, the European summit would decide the destiny of those funds, and I know for sure that Ursula von der Leyen, the head of the EU Commission, is doing her best to figure out any legal methods to overcome veto or suggest how the legitimate risks of Belgium could be decreased. But obviously that this became a huge factor of breach of trust between America and Europe when those 28-point plans was leaked, because it looked like America's administration was eager to give those money to whoever they pleased to, including Russia and themselves, rather than keep it where it was kept before in Europe. So that triggered a lot of events that we observe right now. So back to the button, yes, I do believe strongly that those money could be used for Ukrainian defense to prevent the damage that can be done, and even bigger damage than it's right now. But if that would be the case, if we could win this situation, this diplomatic round, this is a huge question. This is where we put all other efforts, like official, non-official efforts, to make it happen, because war and protecting our citizens, protecting our country costs a lot. And the US recently cut any supply. We just buy the US weapons. And even that is under the question with those negotiations.
We were in Halifax together when that 28-point plan leaked. And I would love for you to share with this audience how much of a betrayal it felt like to Ukrainians to see a plan that was clearly written by Russia and badly translated into English being presented by our government as a U.S. brokered peace plan. I mean, you are used to it by now. It has become clear that Donald Trump is working on behalf of Putin and Russia, but we just have example after example of Ukraine being betrayed. The latest, this 28-point peace plan, it was more of a surrender plan.
Yeah, it felt like a betrayal. That was a nightmare to read those points, and I made sure that I wasn't sleeping and that actually happened. And through me reading that points, I had that feeling that I'm reading Russian letters, not English, but Russian letters. So it was definitely orchestrated by Russian FSB and Kremlin to leak it in that very moment. And probably their calculation was to postpone the sanctions against Lukoil and any other ideas they had. But what they actually reached as the result was the breach of trust between European allies and the US, which has a high value for any security if you have trust between allies. And I've already mentioned this imbalance of pressure, too much pressure on Ukraine, too little pressure on Russia. But I cannot quote the meeting we were both on. That was on the Chatham House rule thing. But you remember me convincing that British lady that it wasn't worth reading, so that wasn't for real. And I mean, I've lost my voice through those days in Halifax, trying to convince American, Canadian, British experts and politicians, because they were sure that this is how Russians' negotiations look like. And I was convincing them that, no, you are in the middle of this special operation. They pretend to negotiate, to lessen the support for Ukraine, to destroy the unity between you as allies, and to make sure that no one trusts no one. That was done brilliantly. And yes, that was also done to open the discussion on something that cannot be even discussed. Because if you open the discussion on forceful change of borders, then half of the world can start a war or conflict over those borders. Because after 1975 Helsinki Final Act, that was, not okay to change those borders by force. And if Ukraine is made to accept that ugly deal, then it triggers the effects in other places in the world we cannot even predict as of now. Funny notice, but actually China is not happy about that, because most of Chinese neighbors have issues with China over the territories. So, no one wants to open that Pandora box with Russians. So that's what happened. Right now, we don't have that plan anymore. It looks like the delegation from Witkoff and Kushner spent hours waiting for Putin, right, and then hours being lectured in history, and nothing came out of it. I mean, at least something which came out of it is kept in secret. So neither you as a US citizen nor me as Ukrainian citizen actually know what was discussed and can directly influence your and my future.
I hope my frustration came through during those meetings. I was trying to be diplomatic, but every time I'm in a room with senior U.S. officials and Ukrainians, our impulse is to lecture and to tell Ukrainians what they need to do. And if I've learned anything from my time spent in Ukraine, it's that there is no population on the earth that knows better how to deal with bullies and how to fight tyranny than Ukrainians. And we need to start learning from Ukrainians about how to deal with Russia instead of telling them how to deal with Russia. That was part one of my conversation with Lesia Orobets. In part two, which comes out tomorrow, Lesia shares her observations about what Americans should be doing to confront threats to our democracy. It's a remarkable conversation. I hope you'll watch. See you soon.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.